is power, and power is everything. We therefore seek every opportunity to inflict pain, and we do not allow limits to be imposed upon our imagination. The flesh, the mind, the soul, all can be made to feel torments eternal. And when all three scream in agony within a single being, the path to immortality lies open before us. So it has been since the beginning, and so it will continue until we extinguish the stars and the galaxy lies dark and fallow. Mantra of the Cabal of the Dying Sun. Pray they don't take you alive. Anonymous. They cower. We carve. Mandrake, Dawn of War, Soulstorm. Hi, hello, and welcome again everybody to another episode of Natural Juan. For this episode, we're going to discuss the Dark Eldar or Drukhari of Warhammer 40,000, perhaps one of the most villainous factions in the said setting, which is actually saying a lot considering that just about every faction in the franchise can still be considered a villain in their own right. Anyway, before we continue, I'd like to invite you all to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications for more content like this. Also, I'd like to dedicate this episode to Rachelle Pineda, one of the Philippines' top Maxim babes. Special shout out too to Mr. Jonathan Green, my patron in Patreon. If you would also like to support my channel and what I do here, you can check my Patreon information in the description below, which comes with a PayPal account in case you'd like to make a quick and easy donation. With all that out of the way, let's take a step into the depths of the city of Kamara, the home of the Dark Eldar. We've already had our conversation about the mysterious fair folk, the mysterious beings of the forests, deserts, or mountains, whose bizarre and otherworldly powers are the stuff of frightful legends. We've also discussed the nature of evil fairies in our video about Changeling the Lost RPG, but now, we're going to go a step further with Dark Elves of the future, the Drukhari, considered to be the evil counterpart to the Eldar of Warhammer 40,000, with their pointed ears, haughty nature, access to extremely advanced technology, and penchant for using high-speed, accurate attacks. However, upon looking over the lore that surrounds the dark kin of the Eldar, you begin to see that they are actually worse. Much, much worse. To truly understand the depravity of the Dark Eldar, we must first understand how they came into being. At the height of Eldar civilization in the distant past of Warhammer 40,000, they had already achieved a kind of utopian singularity. During this golden age of the Eldar, things like crime and sickness had become almost forgotten, and difficult physical labor became the work of advanced robots. Unfortunately, due to this idyllic lifestyle, some Eldar instead sought darker pastimes to assuage their ever-growing boredom. These darker pleasures often took the form of abominable pursuits like sexual abuse, torture, and murder, and rapidly became a fad among the ever-bored Eldar. Not all Eldar gave into this perversion, however, and sought to either resist or altogether escape the corruption festering in their society. Some Eldar built vast ships made of wraithbone, a solid organic material with similarities to both wood and animal bone that was sensitive to their species' psychic powers, and some fled to distant planets teeming with primitive life. Soon enough, the perverted activities of the Eldar caused the birth of one of the four major chaos gods, Slaanesh, and the fabric of reality that surrounded the Empire was torn asunder. The Eldar that fled into their great ships became the Craftworld Eldar, or Asuriani, who traveled the vastness of space in their ever-expanding craft worlds. Those who sought to escape the depravity by colonizing distant worlds became the Exodites, the primitive dinosaur-riding faction of Warhammer 40,000. The rest fled into the Webway, the massive network of wormholes the Eldar used to travel faster than the speed of light. These survivors then built a city for themselves in the vast maze of interstellar tunnels and renamed themselves the Drukhari, or Dark Eldar. While all the subspecies of Eldar might appear similar to some, at least superficially, they differ greatly in terms of culture and general attitudes towards humans, each other, and other aliens. The Craftworld Eldar are known to be duplicitous and selfish, but are still willing to work with other species whom they consider allies if there is a promised mutual benefit. The Exodites are very traditional and territorial, but will otherwise cause no harm to those who do not wish to cause them harm first. The Dark Eldar, on the other hand, have not left behind their culture of sadism and cruelty and continue to practice it within their city of Kamarag and the Webway. Indeed, of all the Eldar who have in some way changed, such as the Craftworld Eldar choosing an almost monastic lifestyle, and the Exodites eschewing almost all of their advanced technology, only the Dark Eldar choose to retain their debauched and depraved ways. As a matter of fact, in order to continue to pursue their dark desires, the Drukhari periodically emerge from the Webway to capture and enslave unwary victims from other planets to be used and abused as they see fit. To further examine the ways of the Eldar's dark kin, one must consider the fate that awaits all of their kind. In ages past, the Eldar were not just a long-lived race, they were also immortal. Eldar who have died are simply reincarnated into a new Eldar body, and the Chaos Gods, who were then just Khorne, the Lord of Battle, Zeech, the Great Conspirator, and Nurgle, the Plague Father, had no power over them. They always found a way to come back from the warp. However, after birthing Slaanesh through their lust and perversion, the dark god they created now waits for them in the afterlife, swallowing any Eldar soul that shrugs off their mortal coil. Now, each Eldar subspecies has their own way of avoiding this fate. The Craftworld Eldar do this by using spirit stones that trap their souls at the moment of their deaths to prevent them from being taken and devoured by Slaanesh. The Exodites built a network of magical structures on the planets they dwell on, allowing their spirits to remain on their world instead of being taken into the afterlife. The Dark Eldar, on the other hand, use various methods to extend their wretched lifespans, either through the debased work of the Homunculi, a kind of mad surgeon among the Drukhari that remind me all too much of the works of Clive Barker, or by feeding off the pain and suffering of captured victims, because even as they try their best to stave off the Prince of Excess's power over them, they are constantly drained of their souls by their created god's very existence. Now, some of you might say that the Dark Eldar might be somewhat justified in what they do, because they just want to avoid being devoured by Slaanesh. However, I will counter that the other factions of the Eldar have something similar, such as the Craftworld's Spirit Stones, or the Exodite Planet Spirit, which have proven to be not just be effective, but highly beneficial. The only difference being is that the other methods often require some degree of sacrifice. For instance, the Craftworld Eldar's way often requires one of them to take up one job or caste or path at a time, be it a worker, a soldier, or a scientist, and may last a good few thousand years while they're at it. The Exodites, on the other hand, reject their more convenient technology save for their powerful weaponry, and prefer to live a nomadic and rugged existence on their worlds of choice. One supposes that the Dark Eldar simply don't want to leave behind their own ways of deviance and slaughter. Add to the fact that their homunculi, their depraved doctors of sorts, can easily resurrect them from the dead, so long as even just a chunk of their tissue remains after death. Is probably just too tempting to leave. That said, unlike the rest of their kin, the Drukhari lack psychic powers, as theirs have long atrophied due to this kind of power easily attracting Slaanesh and her minions to them, leading to a potential unwanted confrontation. It should also be noted that any Dark Eldar can probably leave the city of Kamara to live a better and happier life among the Craftworlders or the Exodites. Unfortunately, while this does happen on an individual basis, the majority of Drukhari probably aren't willing to leave behind their old ways anytime soon. On the tabletop wargame, the Dark Eldar still possess much of the Eldar's advanced technology, such as their deadly splinter weapons that fire shards of solidified but highly corrosive materials. They also possess a lot of hover technology, allowing their vehicles to move quickly towards their intended victims. The Drukhari have access to robotic forces as well, though they often merge these with living victims to create truly horrific engines of war and destruction. With the books The Soul Reaver and Dark Kin, one can even play as a Dark Eldar individual in Warhammer 40,000 roleplay Rogue Trader. This grants you access to their career paths of Witch, something like a scantily clad gladiator and acrobat, Flesh Crafter, an apprentice to the aforementioned homunculi, and Incubi, the bodyguards of the Dark Eldar elite, and many more. The book even comes with campaign ideas for you and others in case you'd like to play as Dark Eldar in the 41st millennium. So that's it for this episode of Natural Juan. I really hope everyone enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. Also, if you'd like to support my channel and what I do here, you can check out the description below for my Patreon information, along with a PayPal account if you just want to make a quick and easy donation. Natural Juan out. What are those strange lights in the sky?